Welcome everyone to this explainer. Today, we're turning back the clock thousands of years to explore one of the most magnificent, absolutely powerful, and enduring deities in all of human history. We're talking about Ra, the mighty sun god of ancient Egyptian mythology. I mean, if you've ever looked up at the midday sun and just felt its raw, almost overwhelming heat and power, you're actually tapping into the exact feeling that inspired an entire civilization. So today, we're going to unpack exactly who Ra was, how he shaped an entire empire, and why his daily journey across the sky was seen as the ultimate symbol of life, death, and rebirth.
But before we dive into all the divine genealogy and the epic cosmic battles, I want you to just picture this. Imagine living in an unforgiving, arid desert entirely dependent on a blazing sun that literally vanishes into the earth every single night. What if one morning it just didn't come back? For the ancient Egyptians, you have to understand, this wasn't just some fleeting, abstract philosophical thought. It was a terrifying life or death existential stake. The setting of the sun wasn't just nighttime for them, it was an absolute cosmic cliffhanger.
You see, ancient Egypt was an agricultural society, sitting squarely in the middle of a brutal desert. They relied completely, 100% on the Nile River and the sun for their crops, their warmth, and their very survival. Because of these life-giving qualities, the sun became a matter of sheer existence. It controlled the ripening of the crops they worked with their own hands. So Ra wasn't just a deity they casually visited in a temple, he was the absolute center of their cosmos. He guided their thoughts, their actions, and literally gave life to the world every single day.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, the Supreme Creator.
To truly wrap our heads around a god this immense, we really have to go back to the very dawn of creation. We're talking before there were pharaohs, before pyramids, before the earth itself even existed. Listen to this incredibly powerful quote from ancient texts. I am Atum when he was alone in Nun. I am Ra when he dawned, when he began to rule that which he had made. Now, what this does is establish Ra's supreme, unquestionable authority over the universe. According to the myth, at the very beginning of time, there was absolutely nothing, just chaos. The universe was completely enveloped by this vast, infinite mass of dark, primordial waters known as Nun.
And then, out of this watery void, a miracle happens. A pyramid-shaped mound of earth, known as the Ben-Ben, suddenly emerges right in the middle of that primal chaos. And sitting right there on this mound was a lotus flower. When that flower blossomed, Ra emerged, bringing the very first light into a dark, watery nothingness. He was the originator, literally the very first being to exist.
And once Ra existed, he definitely didn't stop there. He went on to create Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture. He literally brought all other forms of life into existence simply by uttering their secret names out loud. And here is one of the most poetic details of Egyptian mythology, I think. It was believed that humans actually sprang directly from Ra's tears and his sweat. Because they viewed themselves as literal products of his divine emotion and physical exertion, the ancient Egyptians proudly referred to themselves as the cattle of Ra.
Moving right along to Section 2, Forms of the Sun God. Now, a god this magnificent, someone who oversees all of creation and time, well, he couldn't be contained in just one single shape. To truly understand him as he reached the zenith of his power, we have to look at his multiple forms. Ra's identity actually physically shifted to match the path of the sun during the day. In the morning, as the sun rose, he was Khepri, who is depicted as a scarab beetle rolling the sun over the horizon, which symbolized new life. By midday, when the sun reached its absolute peak, he took his most famous form, Ra, this incredibly powerful man with the head of a falcon, crowned with a brilliant solar disk encircled by a cobra. And then, as evening approached and the sun started to set, he transformed into Khnum, a weary, ram-headed man getting ready to make his descent into the darkness.
Now, what's really fascinating about this is how Ra's identity was essentially merged with other powerful gods. This was a brilliant way to unify worshippers across different regions and eras of Egypt. For example, when combined with the sky god Horus, he became Ra Horakte, which represented the sun's journey from horizon to horizon. When fused with the creator god Atum, he became Atum Ra. But most famously for sure, during the New Kingdom, he was merged with the mighty god Amun to become Amun Ra. This ultimate combination represented the raw universal power of the sun, and it elevated him to the undisputed king of the gods.
Which brings us to Section 3, Pharaohs and the Kingship.
let's look at how this supreme cosmic authority translated into mortal political power on Earth. Because, in ancient Egypt, religion and politics were exactly the same thing. Ra was actually believed to have ruled on Earth as the very first pharaoh of Egypt. So by the time of the 5th dynasty, we're talking around the 25th and 24th centuries BC, human pharaohs started claiming direct descent from him, officially adopting the title Sons of Ra. And this wasn't just some ceremonial title, it was the ultimate political mandate. These rulers spent massive, frankly unimaginable wealth, building pyramids, towering obelisks, and dedicated sun temples perfectly aligned to honor him. They were literally proving to the people that the blood of the sun flowed in their veins.
But of course, all reigns face challenges, and every day has to end eventually. So what happens to the sun god when the light fades, the heat dissipates, and twilight actually comes? When the creator of life is swallowed up by the horizon?
Let's find out in Section 4, Journey Through the Underworld.
So, this is where the story shifts from a triumphant daytime procession into a high-stakes cosmic thriller. Because when the sun sets, Ra doesn't just, go to sleep, he descends into the underworld. Welcome to the Duat. This is the literal underworld of ancient Egypt, and it is a terrifying, highly dangerous realm. It's mapped out into 12 hours of night and 12 heavily guarded gates featuring a dark, subterrestrial Nile River. Ra trades his glorious daytime boat, the Monjet, for his evening boat, called the Mesquite. Taking on that aging, ram-headed form we talked about, he has to navigate his vessel through this pitch-black, monster-filled abyss.
So the crucial point here is that this nightly journey was an eternal existential battle between two completely opposing forces. On one side, you have Ma'at, representing cosmic order, light, and life, and that's championed by Ra. On the exact opposite side, you have Isfet, representing primordial chaos, destruction, and literal nothingness embodied by Ra's arch-enemy, Apophis. Apophis was this colossal, terrifying serpent who just lay in wait beneath the horizon. Every single night, this giant snake would try to consume Ra's boat or stop it dead in its tracks with a hypnotic stare. If Apophis won, the sun would literally never rise again, and the universe would completely revert to that watery chaos of noon.
Now, surviving this night was a monumental team effort. Ra absolutely didn't fight alone. His divine crew included Sia, representing perception, Hu for command, and Heka, providing magic power. He was physically protected by Mehen, a serpent god who would coil tightly around Ra to defend him against underworld monsters. And incredibly, it was often Set, the god of storms and violence, who stood right at the prow of the boat, using his sheer brutal force to spear and overcome Apophis so the boat could safely pass.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, the Eternal Cycle.
Because of this fierce, terrifying nightly struggle, the morning was simply never taken for granted. The dawn was a daily, hard-fought victory of order over chaos. Every sunrise was seen as the literal rebirth of the world. Ra defeated darkness, merging briefly with Osiris, the god of the dead, before rising completely anew in the east. This beautiful cosmic balance of rebirth and renewal was maintained in the minds of the Egyptians for thousands of years. Ra's daily victory made him the absolute, enduring center of the Egyptian pantheon, and his worship persisted across dynasties, only finally coming to an end centuries later with the rise of the Roman Empire and Christianity.
Ra's legend reveals a deep, profound reverence for the sun, not just as a physical object in the sky, but as the ultimate source of power and cosmic balance. It's a mythology built on a very human fear of the dark, and that universal relief we all feel with the morning light. So I want to leave you with this thought as we wrap up our explainer today. If Ra's journey represents the eternal struggle for order, what modern forces do we battle daily to keep our own chaos at bay? Thank you so much for exploring with me today, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.